They've been released in
So low, it's $4,000 a week raise.
like just looking at
Oh, wow, that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Here's keys.
We have to do
We're on.
something.
You run out.
Careful what you say, we're recording it.
Okay, we're recording.
Got
No,
those.
I'm talking about passwords now, people.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Or adjourning, right?
All in favor?
Why not?
Alrighty, I'm going to call this budget committee meeting to order at, let me see the official time and date, June 19th at 6:03. Say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's get roll call. Start with my left. Please state your name.
Thomas McDougall.
Mark Courier.
Peg Hurt.
Stan Nato.
Tammy Smith.
Erin Hutchings?
Bob Carrier.
And Sean Perot, and we have quorum. Just want to make a quick mention about the Robert's Rules of Order that we did last meeting. Thought it went fantastic. Our meeting lasted 2 hours. It was very quick. I think it was really efficient, so just going to keep it up, keep going down that path, make things better. First item, review of minutes on the white tab.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections that were input into Google Docs. Is that what it was put into?
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Stan. Any discussion?
If we can have I saw something, I gotta see if I can find it again when I was reviewing it. And if I can't, it must not have been too important. Something that I read just didn't seem to flow the way it should, but I can't find it, so never mind. That's what happens when I don't make note of it when I first read it.
Yeah, the one thing I would recommend is obviously like the beginning, I think we had everyone here, just to make sure those updates are there. And we have like past 7-0, things like that.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Chairman, the thing is, I made some corrections in here, but they didn't take, apparently.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether or not.
Bob, do you recall what they were?
They were on the town finances. I would have to go back to the site and send the corrections to her. It had to do with the police department there. One of the issues on
Wirecast.
vehicle maintenance. And there was another one too about, if I could just, okay, there was one about the treasurer, the year-to-dates. If I can, this was, I don't remember the exact words, I will never get it right, but if you want, I can send this to Sherry again, just those paragraphs. It had something to do because of there was an error in the maintenance line, there was a minus.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
There was 2 minuses in their numbers, and they are incorrect. And what you have to do is worry about the year-to-date, because if you can take the month with a minus on it, it's not going to hurt nothing but maybe down that column, but the year-to-date, what it'll do, whatever number is in there is going to add that to the amount remaining. So what it is, you're not getting the right bottom line number. It just adds to it. So you could have a $6,000 budget, but whatever is inside, let's say $600, you will now show you got an amount remaining of $6,600 instead. That skews the bottom line.
So Bobby, as far as these minutes go,
Yeah.
were you hoping to add that note in there?
Well, what it is,
Or is it an update to actually make to the minutes themselves?
I made them on that Google, and I don't know why it's not it didn't take,
Sure.
but it's in there. I can send it word for word the way I wrote it, because it sounds better. But I'm just giving you an idea of what it was.
We can, Mr. Chairman, we can remove our motions. You can make another motion to table this to the next meeting.
To July?
No, August.
August, yes.
But we have to remove our motions first.
If I'd have known this, I would have typed this up myself. I'd rather not wait. That's too long. The minutes gotta go on as scheduled. It's what I told you what it was. And there's nothing I can do. I don't have it with me.
Yeah, Bob, so what I'm wondering is, in the town financial section here of new
It is the
business,
town financials only. That's the
Right.
only part that was there.
I'm not really, I don't notice anything here, something about, I see like Bob, page 6, 42,730 error.
Yes, and that's, I don't think I've got that page with me. Yes, I do. It's the police department. That was the vehicle maintenance line. And what it's showing here is that
Wirecast.
there's a minus under the month to date, minus $1,658, rounded off. And there's a year-to-date expense, minus $638. These are wrong. Both these numbers are incorrect. Apparently they want to pull them out, but in the meantime, that $638 is showing up and the amount remaining. So now you got $6,638 in there instead of the right number. Because the year-to-date, you put a minus in there, whatever amount is in there is going to add it to the amount remaining. It is incorrect because now it looks like we have a higher number for the budget. Budget's for $6,000. Now we just increased it by $638.
So, Bob, would you propose that, just for the record,
Yeah.
just make that statement you just did?
Yes, that would
Essentially,
suffice.
there's some negative entries that
Yeah,
should be positive.
negative entries on that line. Both lines are negative entries, so it tells me that whoever put it in, it's not where it was supposed to go.
Okay,
We can make
No, it's fine.
It was not supposed to be put there. But the thing is, they left it there, but it had affected the year-to-date because it increased that amount
Sure.
remaining. So the bottom line is wrong.
right. So, Sherry, we'll add that correction in there, we'll add that line in there?
That's the one. What it is, it's on, where you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about the fourth line where it says Bob, page 6, error. There's a
Mhm.
question mark on that. So that's the one, that's what it was
Okay.
on that.
And then I think we'll have Aaron, I'm sure you probably wrote it down, to go back to
I have,
Vanessa to say like, hey,
It's-
what's going on?
it's already, you're talking about the PD vehicle maintenance line, 4210,730. Net budget 6,000, month to date was 866, year to date expenditure was 2,482.
So you got an updated one?
Yeah, I just got this today, because there was a lot of questions last night at the selectmen's meeting,
Okay.
so.
That just takes care of one of the items that I was gonna bring up. Because that same error appeared again.
Right, there's been a lot of, yeah, right, so,
Okay. That'd be fine with that. Sherry, did you get that, what I said?
Remaining negative on the line under the police vehicle maintenance,
Yeah.
so the bottom line is incorrect.
It's incorrect because it throws that bottom line and also the bottom line of the whole budget. It follows it all the way through. And that's all I need, Mr. Chairman. That's how it came out, because I just, but somebody could probably help me out with the, I don't know why it didn't take, because I may have done something wrong.
I'll meet up with you after the
All right.
meeting.
Okay, that's it from me.
Any other corrections? All right. Hearing no other discussion, ready to vote on the question? Yep. Start
we
with
may-
our left. Thomas?
Yes.
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 yes?
Yes.
And I'll do yes.
This is a demonstration of
Sweet.
Wirecast.
All right.
Want some lights in here?
I was like trying to keep, because apparently the air conditioning's not on.
Yeah.
But we can put it on for you if you want. Minutes all set. New business, budget season calendar update. So I met with Heather on Friday, and the town is on board with Bob's calendar. Thank you very much, Bob, for putting that together. The calendar we publicly posted within next week, and I'll make sure that everyone gets an email with that calendar for the town. So that's months away. It looks like you might have actually printed out, Peg. Thank you very much. But we'll get that out to everyone, just to kind of plan ahead. This is, anyone who was here last year, this is quite a bit earlier than we had before, so I think it's going to set us up for a good budget season.
Hey, do you want me to say anything about the school? Because
Yeah,
we've approved the budget you gave us for the school.
Okay.
And they've
The
already
calendar.
started, yep, the calendar, they've already started on the budget, so.
Beautiful. Thank
We're all
you.
set with it.
All right.
You're welcome.
Looks like our budget season. Yes, Bob?
Of wire
There's something I've got to mention here.
Hmm?
If they start October 1st and the 15th, that's their regularly scheduled meetings where they do town business. If they keep the agenda short, they can start some of those budgets during here. Also, where the October 22nd, I took the word possible out, and also the 29th.
Okay.
What I'm hoping for, Mr. Chairman, if they can finish by the 29th,
of Wirecast.
they could meet November 5th and put the final numbers in. It would give us almost 2 weeks before our meeting that they can give us the budget, the backups, and the expenditure report. And we could start November 29th. That would gain a week. If you look at your calendar for November, that puts us 3 in a row. We have a budget committee meeting there. We could actually probably have a joint meeting with the selectmen and be done by the 20th of December. For the town, that is. This is just something I forgot all about it, but even if they start late, but the must date is November 15th. They can't start no later than that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as how the town decides to, when they're gonna have their meetings and when they're gonna have their
Yeah.
discussions, that's kind of out of our hands, right? It's just the idea of trying to set up the must-have dates on our end when we
Right.
must meet with them, right? So however they wish to, they could have 10 meetings in 10 days, or they could spread it out over 10 weeks, as long as they meet the dates that we need,
Yeah.
right? So.
It's just a guideline for them,
Yep.
if they can see it, and something we can watch for.
So I think with those changes that you made, you know, we can always talk to them.
Yep.
Like I said, the part that we care the most about is that we're prepared with the information,
Yep.
and then we can start meeting when we need to.
Yep.
Okay. School's good? That's
Yeah,
great.
the school
That's great news.
is fine.
You wanted to hold that announcement for the meeting?
Administration of Wirecast.
Oh, no, I just sent a note out to like, hey, guys, how's it going? How's it going? But it's awesome. I'm glad that we,
Again?
well,
Yes, dude?
not, like, probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
But we're good.
Yeah, we're fine. All right, this is the formal. We're fine.
Perfect. Awesome.
Sorry.
No problem. Technology communications, school board documents, still going well. Nate's uploading the school documents directly to the share. Next week, I'm going to talk to Vanessa and find out if she's willing to do the same thing. And as we know, once we actually get into budget season, having a place where all the latest documentation will be extremely helpful. So by
She's-
then, we'll have a few months under our belt.
She will be. She was nervous about whether it was going to be legal to do,
Okay.
but she's all set. So,
It's all public
yeah.
data, so.
Right.
Yeah. we're
She's all
good there.
set.
Awesome. Well, next steps, the town financial reports. Any questions for our esteemed colleague? Yes, Bob?
I do have one. Some of them have been corrected from last one, the April one, but there's one that is still there, and that's the page 2, the treasurer's report, and that's the 1-4141-625, the postage.
Okay.
It is a negative 39. That should not be there. This is the second time it's staying in there, and that is also affecting the amount remaining.
And effective today, it's gone. It's been corrected.
Okay, now, so I don't go any further, there was a highway department as well, but that one, and I have one here, there too as well. I can always tell if I see it. Maybe it's not that thing. No. Okay, that one there took care of it. Sherry, that was, did I tell you what one was about? The one I told you about, it's the highway department. I think you already marked in the minutes. We'll talk about, I'll talk to you after, because I didn't give you the specifics, but I think you already had it in there. But I do have one more, Mr. Chairman. The police department,
Which page is that on?
that's on page 6. Yeah, page 6. I have to apologize here. The one I was talking about, Sherry, is on page 10. I'm sorry.
Administration
highway
of wire
department.
cast.
Yes, it was the highway department, one I was talking about with the two negatives.
Is it vehicle
Yeah,
maintenance?
equipment maintenance, 740.
On highway?
Okay, on the highway.
It's a year-to-date expenditure of minus 4,668. Is that what you're talking about?
What line is it?
Is this the one you were talking about?
Yeah, that one there. Okay, we've already gone through that with the minutes.
740.
That's the one I was talking about the last time. Both of those numbers are incorrect. We're at the incorrect here.
And that's been corrected.
It's been corrected. Now,
Right.
if you get confused, I will rewrite it for you. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you a question? Are you assuming that every negative number would be incorrect?
If I try to add the numbers, what I
Okay.
did, I looked at April. The numbers don't match up.
All right, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just hoping you're not just assuming,
Oh, no, no.
because it can be a negative number.
I worked on this yesterday. I went far as back as March to
Alright.
see what was put in there. In order to test it out, I put a formula in the Excel, and I was playing the numbers as they come along. They add up. This one was not adding up at all.
All right, I just didn't want you to think that there can never be a negative number in that line. 'cause
If
it
they,
can
if they
be.
do put a negative number, but see, like,
If it's overspent, it's going to be a
Right.
negative
Mhm.
number.
but the thing is, this was put in the wrong line. Or it could be vice versa. They could have actually put the wrong number in the wrong column.
Wow,
Uh,
right, but my point is,
Yes,
there can be a negative if a line is overspent.
it is.
And I'd want to see the line overspent if it's truly overspent and not put it someplace else.
Well, yeah, it makes sense for the remaining to be a negative, but
Right.
expenditures to be a negative and a large expenditure number, that should be a flag
Well, actually, that's,
in general. So let's remember, if anyone wants to speak, please be recognized. Thank you.
okay, I mean, okay, this is what I showed. Okay, if you look at that number, 1658,
You're looking at May 4th.
April. This
The
is,
one, right, April, but
Yeah.
for May 4th.
Okay.
Why are you not looking at current?
I'm looking, what I did, when we did this, I brought it up that night. The month to date is higher than the year to date. That's impossible. You can't have more in one month than you can
On
in a
PD.
year. That's the one, and you already corrected it, you said.
So
Okay, now, the PD, page 6,
Page 6, okay.
okay? 01-4210-730, vehicle maintenance. You look at the month to date, it's $2,256, and the year to date is only $1,616. You can't have a higher month to date than the year to date. It doesn't make sense. Now, I don't know if this number is correct, though.
That looks bizarre to me.
PD
Alright.
vehicle maintenance, that's the one we just talked about, PD vehicle maintenance.
Yeah. Did you make changes on that one, too?
That one's already been, that's the one we just, 4210730, $6,000, month-to-date expense was $866.42, year-to-date expense is $2,482.86.
Okay.
So Aaron, what's the date of your extract?
Today.
Okay. I guess,
I just had her do this because there was some errors last night
okay.
when we were going over the expenditure report. There was a lot of hashtags and things that weren't making sense, coded in wrong spots.
Chairman, it would have been nice if they would have made print.
So,
Yeah, I will definitely make
I
it.
got this at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, Aaron. We'll just try to make sure that, like, the town notifies us before our meeting, so we can at least get some printed out for everybody. I don't expect you to be our secretary or anything like that. I can take care of that. Yes, Peg?
What were those numbers again on that line? The new numbers, Aaron? The month to date?
Month-to-date expense is $866.42, and the year-to-date expense is $2,482.86.
2000.
$482.86.
Thank you.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Bill. Thomas?
On page 2, the tax collector town clerk postage, have we really not spent any money for postage? Or is this back to the postage machine not being quick? Like,
Let me check what she gave me today.
Page 2,
Administration of wire
account 01-4140-625.
That's gonna have to be questioned because I can't buy, it's showing in what I got received today that there is no expense. So I will have to ask her.
I know they've had issues with the machine.
Oh, they've had a
lately.
lot of issues with the
And-
machine.
Well, lately since January, but I don't know if this is fallout from that still or.
Yeah, unless we did it for free. The goodness of the post office holiday.
Yes, Peg?
Under treasurer postage,
Page.
I'm sorry, same page, just below that, 4141,625. Postage, and there's a $39 credit for the
Wirecast.
year to
Because we
date.
got a check back from the post office, they closed the PO box out.
Okay, thank you.
So the 30, that minus 39 should be gone? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the way I was always told, you can't credit back to these lines. Once it's spent out of the budget. No matter if you get reimbursed, you can't credit back to the lines.
I think we had that same discussion last year with the vehicle.
Administration of
Well, I don't know about the vehicle, but, so because we always say we could have a revenue line showing what came back.
Yep.
Because it is kind of skewed, because if you do spend money, and the state gives you back money, or federal government gives you back money, it doesn't show in the budget that you got the money back.
I would agree.
But, so if that practice is a credit back, I question whether or not that practice is legit, if that's a legal way of doing it.
Right. Mark, your question?
It's money coming back in is revenues, and it's not, the budget and revenues are two different.
Right.
So money coming back in is revenues.
Right.
But my next question too is, we're working off two reports here, and I know this one's dated June 1st. So the report that Aaron is as of today, and so our numbers aren't matching in different lines here.
Yep.
I have in that particular line $76, month-to-date expense 0, year-to-date expense -39. I just wrote over it, so I think that zero's in the next line. 115 remaining and -51.316 all the way across.
Would
so.
you like me to make copies
That-
for the?
Well, I guess my point is, I mean, we're working off two different
I
reports.
totally agree.
So why are we continuing on here? I mean, because she has the report that she just got today. I know this one is as of the 1st.
Yep.
And we're finding errors.
But some of the errors have been corrected.
They've been corrected, but I don't know they've been corrected. I mean, so am I gonna go through every single line to see?
I understand, yeah.
That's,
I mean, if we want, we can move on to the school, unless everyone has any questions that they really want to ask about the one dated June 1st.
Well, I have a question to the town in general, not necessarily this printout. I'd like to see a breakdown where the money came for Veterans Park, for drilling the well, everything we've done there. I mean, some of the stuff is volunteers and people gave to us, but I'd like to see where it came out of, where they justified the money. Because we're talking $10,000 is what I've been told, and I don't want to, that's gonna have to change, ain't $500.
Which was paid out of last year's budget, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I'd like to see, if it was incumbent, or,
Okay. We hand that to you, Aaron?
Mhm.
Find out, okay, great.
Demonstration
Yes,
of
sir.
Wirecast.
So you're saying all of that work was paid, what came out of last year's budget and had been encumbered
The
from
well,
last year?
the well. My
When-
understanding was the well was out of last year's budget.
Okay, I might have missed some time here in terms of when was the decision made on that? Was that actually made how was that made before last year's budget?
Of Wirecast.
Yeah, I mean,
That decision was made after last year's budget was set, so how could it have been encumbered against last year's budget?
If I may. It can be encumbered. You can encumber anything you want. It's justifying having the money from someplace else to pay it. But from what I've been told, a lot of these bills come in this year, so they couldn't have been encumbered. You can't encumber something after the end of the year, and anything's encumbered, you have 1 year to spend the money, or it's not encumbered no longer. So I think it's something that this board, not just me, but this board needs to look at, and because, you know, every year it's the same thing. This is a down-to-the-bone budget, you know, and there goes $10,000 on a Veterans Park, and I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I'm just saying, you know, we're looking at the dimes and pennies here. Those are dimes and pennies, all built up.
Yeah, the point's well taken. Yes, Pat? Yes, Aaron?
The seating, hydro seating was provided by Fred Cameron, so there was no cost there. The flowers that were planted out there, etc., came out of, I believe, the Durgan Fund. So those things were taken care of through those
And I think that people
avenues.
should know that things are coming out of those funds and so forth.
It was discussed at a select board meeting about a month ago. Michelle Beauchamp came before the board and asked for money from the Durgan Fund because that's used for beautification of the town. And she asked for up to $1,500 to
And it's up to the trustees.
put the
at
flowers
that point.
in. Correct.
I just think the board should know where the money came from, that's all.
Yeah, I
So
think-
that leaves the well, which we all kind of know the story behind the well. It was allotted at $2,500 and it was overspent, the budget.
Last year's budget.
Correct. For what was allotted, what was signed off on by the selectmen. I believe was approximately, and I was not on the select board then, but I believe it was approximately $2,500 and it wound up costing us almost $9,000. But I will get the receipts and the information and have it for you
I mean,
prior.
I'm not acting any differently towards that than I would with the school doing something. You know, I mean, if the school,
That's fine.
you know what I mean, so get ready for it.
I think it's,
Do you want copies of this?
No. Oh, that, no,
I think we're probably just gonna, unless somebody has a question or they wish, I have no problem going and making some copies of the budget that,
I can go do it while
Aaron
y'all
has.
do the
Administration of Wirecast.
school if you want.
I've got a question, not related to having the new updated thing, but I noticed in the, talking about encumbrances, down in the encumbrances section on page, it's missing. There's a hole in the page number.
13 maybe?
Maybe.
See encumbrances
13 or
on 14.
13 or 15.
we shouldn't have
It's
that
like
in the
15.
budget. It was the last year.
Account number 01-1001-019. It just says purchase order. That doesn't tell me anything.
Purchase order number 18279.
Just curious what that purchase order is. What it's for.
On 018, Tom?
No,
Page
it's on
15.
page.
Last page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, last page, sorry.
Okay, I didn't know it went over.
It's on the very first line.
Yeah.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Yeah, see, that shouldn't even be in the budget, the encumbrances.
Yeah, like I said, that they are, and it just
Yeah,
says
yeah.
purchase order, you know, it's, yeah, if they're gonna give me this information, I'd kinda like to know a little more details of what that purchase order is for.
Yes, Bob?
The only reason they put the encumbrances in there is for accountability. As you see, they are spending some money in it. They encumbered it and they're showing where this money, that they're spending it.
Of Wirecast.
Before that, we never saw it when they encumbered. Now, this is more for clarity, or actually transparency.
Yeah, because we can't affect anything that's there anyway. But,
No, we can't.
you know, like I said, you just,
And I have no more information than what you do there, so I will look into it.
Okay, so if I may continue, now that you brought that to our attention, there's no encumbrance here for anything to do with the drilling of the well or anything. Just an FYI.
Wirecast.
And again, I will research that and get back to you.
He might have been paid, I don't think he was, but anyway.
Yes, Bob?
I just have one more. I asked about the highway miscellaneous line 01-4.
So Bob, which page is that on?
Oh, page 10, 01-4312-890.
Okay, hold on, because I'm working off of this information.
Okay, I know there's a number in there, but I wanted to
Okay.
know, for $1 line, that's an awful lot of money. I wanted to know
Which-
what is it?
The miscellaneous?
Yes. Apparently, the expense does not fit the criteria of any of these lines up above. So I'm really curious.
And I want to say, and do not quote me on this, but I almost believe that that was a physical. I believe that was a DOT. I'm not mistaken.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
I don't know if I wrote it in there.
I was at the selectmen's meeting. This is not the one that came out of the revolving fund that you mentioned one night. That Pat Smith said there was something wrong. It was a miscellaneous line, and this is the only one I can see.
That they could.
If it came out of that revolving fund,
This is a
it has to be
demonstration
paid out of the general fund first. Then, when it comes back to be reconciled, the bookkeeper will ask the treasurer to reimburse the general fund for that amount of money in that account. I believe that was one that Pat Smith was here and he answered to you. He says it was in the wrong. It's wrong. The only problem I have with that, if it came from the revolving fund and got paid, it's still part of this budget. And it's
Right.
going to affect them.
And it is still here
It's still here.
on the current, on the one that I have of this afternoon.
He mistaken. If anything that has to do with the trustees of the trust funds, they actually prefer to write the check directly to the vendor.
Okay, this is the revolving fund. This has come out of the transfer station, I believe, is where it came from. Pat Smith said it shouldn't have been put in here, but now it is in here. But all funds out of the revolving fund are paid out by the general fund. It's a funny way of doing things, but that's how they do it. When it comes back, the bookkeeper now will tell the treasurer, we need to get reimbursed to the general fund, whatever the amount was and whatever for the transfer station, the money's got to come out of there and reimburse the revolving fund.
But there again.
The general fund.
I go back to what I said, that line, once it's spent out of that line, you can't go back and replenish it.
Okay, but see, this is what it did, but it's still here. And to me, I know if you want to follow the paper trail, but I don't want to say it.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
It's an extra cost to this budget that it shouldn't be there. But it has to show because they wrote a check for that, and it has to come back, and then they got to follow it. But to me, it should actually come off because now he's out $439, whatever it is, and I'd really like to know what it was. If it doesn't fit any of these criterias in that line, it's got to be something. I believe that was.
This is the highway department, so it wouldn't come out of the sanitary waste.
He has control of the three budgets. For some reason, anything he needs to buy is part of his budget.
But what you're saying is it get applied to the wrong part of the budget, the wrong line, is that what you're saying?
That I'm not sure.
Because anything to do with the solid waste would have nothing to do with the highway. That's two different budgets.
If they one year they needed a front loader. They were taking money from anywhere in the revolving fund that they could. They took it out of the transfer station, and that's where it actually came out from. But any funds, even part of the highway that they have extra money in, they had to pay for it that way. He controls all these three budgets.
Road construction is one of them.
Yes. And the transfer station does have, a lot of your dollar lines are coming out of that transfer station. But this one, he mentioned that it shouldn't have been in there. So he controls all of these.
So I guess we'll find out what that $439 is and
for a dollar line, that's an awful lot of money, and if you can't find anywhere in that line that where it belongs to, I really need to know what it is.
Well, hopefully we'll know here in a second.
All right, okay, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
And Mark, your point was definitely taken on the data that we're looking at. It's kind of old, but I think the discussion's so helpful.
Noted.
Any other comments about the budget? Yes, Aaron?
Well, wait a minute, he's got another comment coming in, so I'll hold off if you don't mind.
Sure. Is this in reference to
It's
what?
Pat.
Okay. Are you gonna be okay, Ed?
He's looking at that cough drop.
Can I get you some water?
I told you, 1948.
I give you credit for a few years.
Nice.
Do you think he's typing, or do you think he's just like...
He's typing.
Okay.
Yes, Peg?
I do have one more question. Somebody mentioned the postage originally, and I'm just kind of looking through, and the majority of the departments have not spent any money on postage. So,
They've reset the machines. There's been an issue. They're doing something with the machines. There's been an issue with the machines. Oh, gosh, I remember all the way back to like a year ago.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right? And I think they're finally trying to rectify what's been going on with the machines. That's the answer. That revolving fund isn't, wait a minute, okay, so it says, I'm always typing again. I think it is for something not itemized in the budget to show transparency and not hide it in another line. And he said, no, revolving fund isn't on the budget. It's a separate account.
Yes, it is a separate account, but it is showing up on his line here. And it's the same process. That's how they process this. It's got to go through the general fund first. Everything goes through the general fund.
Yeah. Okay.
This came from Pam Otto. We sat down one afternoon, she showed me how all this works, how it all operates, the revolving funds.
Okay. So I think we're gonna move forward.
I'm all set.
Okay.
Let's move.
Go to the school budget. You notice Nate was kind enough to give us the trust fund balances that we
Yes.
requested from the last meeting.
Yes, he was.
What was yours, Peg?
Pardon?
It's all yours?
Thank you. Okay, the good news, I mean, I don't know if anybody has noticed anything new that has jumped out. And I know I've gone through just about everything. I did make a misstatement last month about the special ed director, because I thought she was still really a, part admin, part teacher. She's not. She's fully admin. And there was no line put in there for professional development. So we will definitely be budgeting this year for that. So I take back my misstatement.
All right.
One thing on page 19, if you want to just jump ahead, because me just going through it, there was nothing new that I have not already spoken about. But transportation dental, we do not provide dental insurance for them. So if you look lines 52120, 1 and 2, we are obviously way over because we pay the bills, but then they reimburse us for it. So just an FYI on that one.
The employee reimburses.
Right. And on the very last page, much better looking as far as our remaining balance. It's $203,000. Everything that had been encumbered was paid, and it was a lot less than we had thought. So we are looking a lot better. So yes.
Go ahead, Stan.
What's the plans for the state, that money come to all the schools? And I'm not mistaken, I read $7,500 approximately to Milton.
For what, the kindergarten?
No, there was about a month ago that they signed the surplus money, they were dividing it up into school systems, and it showed Milton right in the paper, like $7,500 we were gonna get.
I don't know.
Per student.
I wish.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no budget for
trying.
next year.
Oh, yes, Bob?
I can tell you, there's the adequate funding, the adequate educational funding they were talking about.
Oh, okay. I wonder if that showed up in the grant then, because it's not.
Because I did hear the same thing,
Yep, okay.
It was in Foster's.
yeah.
Mark?
Food services.
Administration of Wirecast.
Yes.
Went back about a few months, and you were averaging around $26,000 to $27,000 a month. And then last month, you went to 14,000. So do we not feed children, or what happened that we saved a bunch of money in food services? And now that you're looking at you're in the black, where you're
Yeah,
headed
which
for
we
the
go
red.
back.
Oh, we are not in the black with food service. We are back in the hole, and part of it, if you look at the expenses are basically the same, but we're not selling as many meals. So we are definitely upping the price next year. That was at, I think, the last budget committee, or school board meeting, that we voted to up, I think it's 20 cents for lunches and maybe 10 or 15 for breakfast, because we cannot continue losing money in food service. So,
Administration of Wirecast.
but back to the bottom line, we thought we were going to have to take some money for special ed out of the fund balance, and we ended up not having to, which is a real good thing, because we never know what's going to happen with them, with that line.
Yes, Dan?
You know what my next question's gonna be.
No, what, Stan?
I ask every meeting.
I ever answer
What, if
it?
anything, yeah, you do,
Okay.
do we expect for return to the town?
Administration of Wirecast.
Well, let's see. We are now looking at about 203,000 total, and our encumbrances. You really expect me right out of the top of my head?
Approximately.
About 150,000, maybe.
That's a better answer than you had last time. 'Cause last time was that you didn't think there'd be any.
Well, we didn't think there was going to be any, and that's why we wanted to take some out of our fund balance for special ed. So, yeah, no, it's looking a lot better. And we're still waiting. We did get the report back from the accountants, the auditors, and we're still looking at 153 minus 25,000 from the SAU.
That was gonna be my next question.
I answered it before you asked.
So 153 minus how much?
I think it was 25 that we
So
put in.
roughly 126,000, 127,000.
Right.
Thomas, did you have your hand up earlier?
Yeah, you mentioned, Peg, that you pay the dental insurance and then you get reimbursed from employees that have it.
Right.
Where in the revenue report did that show up?
I don't know, but I think it's what Bob has to say about not being good about that. And if you look back on page 19, it's only that one reporting period, the whole reporting period. So I don't know where it shows up, but that's a good question. I will show Nate. I will ask Nate.
Just because I didn't see that number anywhere in, the
Income?
income for the
Our revenue?
For the
Yeah.
revenue.
But if you look at,
There's a lot of lines it could go into. I just.
okay, revenue. I don't know, but I will ask Nate. Oh, and the other good thing with,
Of Wirecast.
we had disability insurance from John Safina. This is his second year. And from the administrator, the principal of the elementary school from prior, that they billed us twice, and they finally backed that out for us. So,
By way of a credit.
yeah.
This is a demonstration demonstration of Wirecast.
Oh, I don't know if you...
No, I do have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Do you, off the top of your head, remember what the warrant articles were, monetarily wise?
I think I said 150, I think.
So that's the 150 you were saying? So that 277 is not gonna come to the town, we're still gonna take 150 off of that,
Yes,
approximately?
yes.
So the town should see about 127,000.
Yep.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
More is better. Don't forget about the 7,500.
You okay, Aaron?
I didn't talk about Foster's then. So-
Oh, yeah. I know we did get another grant for next year for $50,000. So,
But that's not this budget.
no, it would be for next year. But we were not sure at all what we were getting, and some safety issues. There's like $24,000 from the state to cover some of our.
Are they matching grant?
No, it was they had so much money, and Bob Adams and Jen Radowitz and Jen Levitt put together requests saying this is what we really need, with input also from Chief Kraus.
Demonstration of
Um,
Wirecast.
And they approved, I want to say, I think there were 4 items, and it's costing us, I think, about $10,000.
They're not matching, but there is a cost involved.
Right, right.
Aaron?
I might have missed it while I was out there, but has any thought been put in about funding your school resource officer?
We're talking about it possibly. You know, I mean, budget. We went in, or came in last year with a real
This is a demonstration
bare
of
bones budget.
Wirecast.
And, I mean, you heard just month to month, not looking good, not looking good, not looking good, so, and we'd love to. But, has Chief Kraus said anything about it? Because I know we've talked to him about it.
It's been loosely discussed in our workshops, not really as far as in the board meetings go.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're looking at where the funding is gonna come from.
This is a demonstration
And,
of
I mean, a school
Wirecast.
resource officer has been at least half of the year. So, I mean, speaking, you know.
Yeah, because I know.
Funding needs to be,
Right. Because we spoke to him about, you know, like a retired police officer. And he said one of the things is, once you've retired and you're not keeping up your physical ability and whatever, that, you know, you can't carry a gun, you can't.
This is a
So,
demonstration of
we have
Wirecast.
discussed it with him, and it's good to know that in a workshop he's discussed it with you guys too, so. We'll see what happens. Any other questions?
Good.
Okay.
That's right, let's move on to the next item, the bylaws, review part 2. Now, we left off, basically copied my version and my notes and everything that are in it.
Demonstration of
The
Wirecast.
pages on here, but it's section G on the lower right of page 4.
Yes.
Or I should say 3. I might have to borrow Stan's glasses from him.
You want me to turn the light on now?
I might have to. It is getting dark. Oh, wow, look at that. Can read all of it.
When you get old, that's what happens, you realize.
I know. Thanks, Thomas.
Whoa.
Look at that.
It said not to be like.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Good evening, Milton. All right.
Wow.
Part G, role as recording secretary clerk. I don't recall, I don't think I actually read everything line by line. I think we looked at section by
Right.
section, and then anyone had any updates?
Are you asking us to approve these changes as given to us, or
No,
For
so,
more input.
yeah, sorry. So, last time what we did is we went through section by section, and some of the items in blue are, well, they're not gonna be in blue for you guys, they're kind of a lighter color probably, are additions that people have made. Also, anyone here can make any additions on the fly, and then we'll basically vote section by section, or actually change by change to see whether or not we want to keep them, addendum, remove them, et cetera. Yes, Peg?
There are 2 periods under number 2, just before the non-blue that we can't see.
Very good. I actually like this section a lot. I think it does a good job of outlining what we expect from the recording secretary. It makes it kind of black and white without any sort of confusion. Do you find these helpful at all, Sherry? Have you ever actually had to read them?
Yeah, I read them.
Okay, that's good. Yes, Peg?
Is there a time limit for the budget committee? Because I know school board, we have a time limit that our meeting is Wednesday and 5 actual business days. The minutes at least have to be to the to the.
Yep, 5 business
SAU.
days
Okay.
afterwards. So,
So it's the same in here. I didn't see that.
yeah, I think it's 91A or whatever.
Right, but I didn't see that in here.
Yeah, that's in my notebook.
Should it be in here? It's a state law.
Probably
Under
not.
You don't
91A.
have to have every state law in it, you know?
Right. It might,
You gotta abide by it.
yeah, I mean, it might be wise to put something in there just to make it very obvious that it's required, just because, you know, you can get in trouble.
Maybe just a reference to it indicating it's like all of this is premised on RSA, whatever.
Okay. So I put, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to be making motions, but
You can make
I move to take everything that's here right now, add M, and say minutes must be posted within 5 business days from the meeting, per RSA, da-da-da-da.
91A dash.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
But a draft is okay. We're not saying it has to be a
Yes.
final.
Right, it's just the draft.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Dave first.
Do you want to specify in that line item, the M, that timeframe, or just reference the RSA and actually if they ever change the RSA actually should be the guidelines, so we don't want to have it overriding whatever's in the RSA.
So I think, I
Or
actually thought that
whatever.
when I was thinking about it, but I think it would be nice to actually have it posted very obvious for somebody that it's 5 days, and then review that if we have to, if they change it. Just because, you know, when you look at a link or you say RSA, you know, you're just like, oh, I'm not gonna bother to check it, but I think, you know, we can get in a lot of trouble if we don't have these things posted during this amount of time.
Or maybe put, or as defined by RSA. So we can still put it in there and then say the RSA overrides it if there is a change to it, and then we can always, that way we still follow our guidelines.
Of Wirecast.
I like that.
Even if it's 6 days late, like for some reason, if they change it, until we get around to changing our bylaws.
I like that idea.
Remember, we have to address these bylaws every year, so it's not like they go in the back in the drawer and we don't see them again. We're doing tonight, we have to address them every year. It's the law.
Yes, Peg?
All right, I'm wondering, okay. No, that's fine, down there. I was just thinking maybe part of number 2,
Demonstration of Wirecast.
just shall prepare a draft and post it on the town's website, blah, blah, blah. If that should say,
So put it there instead of in an,
I'm
Another
just
section.
thinking rather than way down at the bottom.
Doesn't matter where it's at, really.
Pardon?
Doesn't matter where it's posted, I mean listed. It's all part of the bylaws.
Right. Oh, somebody else decide that.
yes, Dave?
To tie into that, it's almost like,
This is a demonstration
L needs to get shoved over too. It's like all of those other ones, A, B, C, D, are all describing what needs to be in the minutes. L does not actually have anything to do with describing what should be in the minutes. It's actually a
I
separate
got you, so you think
item.
that's number 3?
I think that's number 3, not,
That makes sense. I like Peg's idea of putting it inside that section there about the draft and when to post it, and I think that's much better than my idea.
Thank you.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Yes, Bob?
Just to be sure, when the draft with the minute, when Sherry's done with the minutes, they're gonna go on, they're gonna be posted on the website, boards and committees, they'll have draft on the side of it.
Yep.
Okay, and then when they are approved, the draft will come off.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe it's actually written right there, the word draft will be placed from the meeting minutes, remain there until the meeting minutes are approved.
I just wanna make sure
Yep.
that that's what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
Thomas?
Do we watermark the minutes with draft, or do we just draft in the title? I'm thinking if somebody prints out a copy, how do they know that they're?
Sherry?
In Google Docs, there is no way to watermark it.
Okay.
You have to actually embed it. So if we are going to use Google Docs, then we probably should decide how you want the draft to be put on there. Should it be put on the top? Should it be a foot in the footer
Footnote, yeah.
with draft meeting minutes of Milton Budget Committee, page 1? Or if we're going to do it with the Word document, then I can watermark it with draft. But that's a decision we should make so that it's consistent. I can be consistent.
Yeah.
That's very clear.
Yeah, I like, if you look at our minutes that we have for today, right, so it's draft and right at the bottom, draft,
Yeah.
draft.
Okay, yeah.
To me, that makes,
Yeah, okay.
making sure that it's there.
Yeah, honestly, I did not even notice the draft in big 18-point font at the bottom.
Can you borrow your glasses?
It's a good thing I'm detective witness. It should be red. If it was red, I'd have noticed it.
So any other ideas, suggestions, changes for Part G? All right, let's move on to H. Now, H, I don't know if we really have a lot of discussion on here, except for possibly 11. Most of this is General Roberts rules.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
They're not something that this committee ever created. A lot of them look like they're right off the web or out of a book.
Yes.
The only one that seems slightly different is the action that shall be unless otherwise ordered by roll call vote. I know a few times I've said, unless anybody has objects, we're going to do it. And then, Stan's made the point that would be best if everyone actually voted and not just vote by silence.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Like that. Silence.
You said you wanted silence.
I do.
Robert's rules.
Silence is good. Silence is bliss. Yes, Peg?
Has there been an updated opinion since 1990? The Attorney General?
There's not a link or any sort of
Demonstration of Wirecast.
footnote
No.
to determine what that actually references. Uh-oh, someone's getting his computer out. Probably don't need to do it today, but maybe we'll put a footnote next to that to see if we can actually find it. And remember, we're not going to be voting to use, to adopt these tonight. By actually the bylaws say that we have to do it a meeting after we discuss it. So, these are just to clean up some of the things that haven't been done in 4 or 5 years. So we don't have to worry about voting on tonight. We can vote it on either next meeting or following follow-up meeting.
Okay.
Cool. Any other ideas for section H? Alrighty. Now we're in section 7, Roman numeral 7. Format and schedule for the initial request. The section 7 is actually procedure for review of budgets.
Wirecast.
outlay budget requests shall be acquired by October 1st on forms approved by the Budget Committee on or such other date as scheduled by the committee. Did we do that last year?
Fixed expenses, capital expenditure, outlay budget request. Date as is scheduled by the committee.
This is a
Well,
demonstration
the
of
second
Wirecast.
Yeah, second part is kind of gray, so that would be probably part of the budget presentation,
Right.
because we have no control over revolving accounts or trustees, trust funds, whatever, you know, warrant articles, we have no control over that.
Right.
So I think that would all fall in line with the budget presentation. I could be wrong, but that's the way I read it.
Yeah. Some of you guys have been on this committee a lot longer than I have.
Well,
This is a
Yeah, just a
demonstration
bit.
of Wirecast.
The only thing is, Mr. Chairman, we're going to get that CIP, and I believe it's somewhere in September. I'm not sure, I don't have my book with me. But there is a schedule on the planning board, when they have a whole schedule. They'll send it to the selectmen, and also we get a copy of it. And I believe what we have to have is the backups to all of that, whatever they're going to fund. I thought this came down later in the year, but they're going to have one shortly.
Wirecast.
We will get it, they'll have a public hearing, but I know the selectmen are going to get it, and they're going to decide which ones they're going to fund. In that case, we can see what it is and get what we need, our backup sheets, what we need, but October 1st is going to be pretty close. But the schedule is on the planning board's website, planning board, not the code enforcement. There's a schedule there. I was supposed to print it out, but I was in a hurry and I didn't, but it's in there when we're supposed to get it.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
So we'll all get a copy of that, so we'll have time to look at it. But the selectmen will be the ones who will decide which ones they're gonna fund, and that's where we come in.
Okay. So leave A1 as is. So the next capital expenditures shall meet the following criteria. This has some changes, proposed changes. The current one talks about a warrant article should be for any item the use of life greater than 3 years. It meets or exceeds the dollar value of the current state bid price of a police cruiser, which is an interesting way to say it's bigger than a bread box. And change that to not less than 5 years with a cost of $10,000 or more. And this conforms the statement number 34 of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. And then strike out the other parts of this
You
section.
know why there's $10,000 there?
No.
At the $10,000, the magic number where a public hearing has to come into play.
Yeah, that
Oh.
would be a great data.
The selectmen can't just award a bid or just choose to buy something if it's $10,000 or more. It has to be a public hearing involved.
Gotcha. David?
In which case, then this phrase, should actually say not less than 5 years with a cost of less than $10,000, because if $10,000 or more causes it, an actual $10,000 trigger should require a public hearing.
This is a demonstration
Well,
of
I can't remember
Wirecast.
because we went through this with the Board of Selectmen, and I can't remember what RSA it is off the top of my head. But it's all covered with legal RSAs, so, I mean, we can't supersede them.
Sure.
Okay.
Peg?
Yeah, we just had a presentation, Bruce Woodruff from Planning Board. And I was kind of questioning the 10,000. It seemed to me it was 25,000 for some reason.
No.
It is 10,000. I mean, it had to be a minimum
This is a demonstration
of 10,000
Wirecast.
to be presented to them, so that 10,000 does need to stay there.
Well, who put this change in there? You?
I did,
No.
You did? Where'd you get that information from?
off the planning board's
Okay.
Okay.
manifest. I call it manifest. What we got last year, it has to be at least 10,000. I think it has to have a life expectancy of 5 years, I believe. And I put that in there because of course at least 10,000 in order to conform to
This
it.
is a demonstration
Yeah, I
of
think we might be
Wirecast.
mixing a couple different things here, but
Well, this is what well, it says.
what I'm saying might be a little different than what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. Until we get someone that knows better, I think we'll leave it alone for now.
So would Bruce Woodruff be a person to talk to this?
I think we see what the RSA says.
So find the RSA and speak on it, Bob?
The CIP is the planning board. That's their job. They are the
Right.
ones that are gonna put this in. It's the capital improvement. They didn't say capital improvement, they said capital expenditures.
Of Wirecast.
It's something that was maybe the second year into this thing. They're going to set it. I believe there is RSA's in there, but they are the ones that's going to, they dictate what's going to go. And it's gonna be up to the selectmen. They're the ones who put this all together, the CIP.
So maybe he would be a good person to
He is he's the person,
get those
he's the
RSAs
one that
from.
will be the one
You wanna
that's
call him
actually
up?
directing him.
Yeah.
He's good. He's the town planner.
Maybe you could talk about it over golf.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Okay, so I think that area needs to be clarified before we, yes, David?
And there is, I'm looking at this is under the New Hampshire Municipal Association where they describe what is a capital improvement, which is a high cost and useful life of years. And it does reference an RSA 67421. And in this instance, it actually says that's not a fixed dollar amount. It's based on individual municipalities can have a different dollar amount. So there might be something in Milton's guidelines that define what that would be a capital expenditure versus not.
And you said the RSA is 674.21.
Well, specifically, it's typically capital improvements will include infrastructure projects, land acquisition,
But this is a capital expenditure.
and may include vehicles or highway maintenance equipment in some municipalities. One useful starting point is the list of improvements for which impact fees may be assessed. The list is in RSA 67421. So that's what 67421 is, things that are.
But there may be a difference between expenditure and improvement. All right. We gotta talk to someone who knows more about it. than
Yeah,
we do.
I think we should move on for that guy.
Well, just one thing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
The
Bob.
information's on the planning board. It's quite a few pages. It has everything broken down, the rules, the policies, how it's to be funded. It's in here, in the planning board. So if you just click it on, you have a lot of reading in there.
That's good. For my own personal curiosity, I'd probably
Yeah.
just call him up just to get like.
Oh, you can get he'll give you the general idea.
Fantastic, okay.
And it looks like their date to have everything going out to the Board of Selectmen is approximately the 5th of September.
Actually, they're meeting right now downstairs.
Yeah.
We say, hey, come on up.
Okay, if we're
Yes, Peg?
cost of $10,000, can we just put a dollar sign?
This
No,
is a
'cause it-
demonstration of
We gotta
Wirecast.
find that out. 'cause
Well, I know, but I mean, whatever we have for money, make sure
It
there's a
just
dollar
says
sign.
10,000. It doesn't say $10,000.
That's what I'm saying. I think
Canadian dollars, could be
10,000
euros, we don't know.
Euros,
Are we in Canada?
Could be
Pieces
pesos,
of
Are
gum.
we in Mexico?
rubles.
could be. Rubles, yeah.
We gotta talk to
Rupees.
someone who knows more than I do about it.
Yeah.
It's my grammatical change.
No, I like it.
Yeah, and get a clear delineation, like I said, this is describing capital improvement, they're talking about things like vehicles, so they blend everything in terms of an expenditure improvement, they don't define whether or not it's a thing or a road.
Yeah, I mean, I also question why it's all in caps. But again, Part C, for men, schedule for final requests. This would have been nice last year when we wanted that documentation before our meetings and not 30 seconds before the start or after it already started.
Yes.
Of course, you know, we start early, right? We get what we're expecting and, you know, go from there. So I think we got a good start on that.
Okay, so
Aaron, yeah?
Can I go ahead and scoot?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
are you saying
I
I
feel
think you
better.
can do this without, thank
Yeah,
you.
I feel better.
on number 2, are you saying that you wanna have prior to September 1st of each year in there? Identification of proposed warrant articles for capital improvements shall be submitted I don't see how that can happen. If the planning board's not gonna have the CIP done before that, how can you, that's part of capital improvements.
Okay. If you gotta go to the planning board, everything's there. They're scheduled, they're scheduling tonight, and they're gonna have everything, they'll usually put the presentation, if you look at the agenda, there's somebody coming in and they're gonna explain what their projects are gonna be, they submit a form, and if there's any way to fund it, they'll also put that in there as well. I was able to come to the last one, the first one they had, with the police and fire, and it was very interesting. This is a 6-year plan, and this is what they're going to put so much money away. And this is going to actually smooth this whole thing out. It's going to be rough for a while, but once you start putting it in, when the time comes, you don't actually have to pay for it if you hit the target. It still runs, it still works, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to buy it. You can just keep on going with it.
Bob, that's not my question.
What is it?
What they're saying is we should have that by September 1st in our hands. The planning board's not gonna have it completed by September 1st.
Why not?
Didn't Aaron just say this, what's she, this December?
September 5th, I thought.
Yeah, to the
December-
Board of Selectmen.
December 5th here. They
Right,
should
so
have it.
we can't, they're not gonna have it done by September 1st. That's what I'm questioning is the date.
I think she said 5th, I think. I can't get it on my phone.
I thought she said December.
No.
No,
September. So, anyway,
Still after the first.
Still after.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peg?
Plus, the one before that says October 1st.
That might have
Number
been
one.
an error on my part. Okay, what is, I was going by the old one, and
Okay, so we need to really look at
what it
the
is.
dates and stuff.
All the
Okay.
information's on the planning board. They got the sheet of how they got started, and the RSA's are, everything in there is all there.
Well, you can give Bruce a call and he can tell you when he thinks it's gonna be finished.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
All right. I just don't want a date in there that we know is not gonna happen.
That might have to change all the time because they're working on it, and like I said, there is a schedule on the planning board. If you look at it, they have the whole schedule, and that's what Aaron was looking at too.
Cool.
Yeah. Boards and committees.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
I do like part 3. It really outlines what our expectations are from the town and the school budget. So, we'll just make this very obvious to them.
What's
Yes.
the blank? 1, 2, 3 lines down.
The default budget.
And but why is it a blank in parentheses?
That's the plan.
And I put mine away. What? Budget committee recommendation, blank.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Oh, because it's up to us to put that in there, the date.
But there's no date here. We've got, no later than 1 week prior. But then there's just this blank sitting in there.
Town and school budget presentation to the budget committee shall include prior year appropriations expenditures. Current selectmen recommendation and budget committee recommendation.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Yes, Thomas?
It looks like to me that, see, item 1 and item 3 are basically the same thing. I don't know that we see the department's budget separately from receiving everything. Right? I don't remember getting, say, looking at the police budget by itself. It was always included with everything. This looks like to me that it's saying we want to see the departmental requests, which would be police, fire, public works, separately, and then we want to see the town and school budget presentations. We see all that all at once.
See, I'm wondering if part 1 is basically stating, like, we need this information before the presentations, where the next one is almost like the summation of all the presentations and the actual presentation of the final budgets that they're proposing.
This is a demonstration of
Would you agree with that,
Wirecast.
Mark?
Yeah, because we want the, like, the town report, like tonight.
View it.
We want to be able to sit there, look it over, take our time, review it. Then when they present it, then we can ask questions
Mhm.
and go back and forth.
Yeah,
So it's two separate.
yeah, I think they're related, but I think they're very, very separate. Yes, Peg?
I'm just wondering, number one, maybe, and I think this might be what brought to Tom's attention, departmental requests
Of Wirecast.
really does sound very specific, like the fire department, this.
They're all departments.
Well, I know, but I mean, like the school board presents everything at once.
Mhm.
Because you don't have separate departments in our eyes. You'll get a budget. You have separate, but yes, I said that wrong. I said that wrong. We present everything at once, but it's different than the town. The town, we have more say on than some of your line items we have no say on. Because we can't,
Of
you know what I'm talking about.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, Mark?
School board does have separate departments. They do. So you have the sped department, you have the transportation department, the maintenance department.
Yeah, they do.
So
Hey, guys, let's not have any crosstalk, please.
So getting all that information from each department, and then, you know, during the season, okay, fine, we're gonna be meeting with sped, we're gonna be meeting with transportation, we're gonna be meeting and do separate and ask questions. So again, to me, again, one is we gather all the information, or it's given to us.
Wirecast.
And three, then they present it and try to justify why they need what they need.
This is what we need.
On the language.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Bob?
we get the backup sheets that tells us everything, the numbers, how much. Are you asking for the two, actually, it's in the budget. Then they give us the backups of their budget,
This is a
and they
demonstration
lay it
of
out, here's what's in it,
Wirecast.
and how much it's gonna cost. We always get this.
So I
If you
think,
look on my calendar, I put a date on there that we need it. When we need it, a week prior to that. I want them all. I don't want just those we're gonna meet that night. I want them all.
well, if you notice, like, this is really specifying that we want that data a week before the presentation, right? So it's making it very obvious.
Yeah.
And that our expectation is that we need that data previous to the meeting, at least a week before that meeting,
Yeah.
right? So it's spelling it out.
This is a
To them.
demonstration of
Okay, but I
Wirecast.
guess I'm not sure what everybody wants, because you get the regular budget, the whole budget with the 2-year previous. Then you got the budget request from the departments, then you got the selectmen, and then you got ours. I believe that's what it is. I don't have a sample here.
So-
Just to make sure we get it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just outlining those,
Yeah.
those questions.
If you look at those, when I sent the calendar out, I put a date, this is what we need. If we can start the 29th, I need that.
Demonstration of
So,
Wirecast.
Bob, remember that this is like very generic, right? These are our bylaws.
Yeah.
So they're written in a way that it's not specific to this year or last year or the following year. They're very, when you're going to present, we expect the data a week in advance.
I thought that was what I put in there as the.
I think what you proposed in the calendar meets this criteria perfectly. We're just kind of going over to make sure that this is what we want to do going forward.
This has not always has happened. We were getting it at the last minute,
Yep, and that's,
and this is where I'm trying to avoid.
yep,
So, okay.
yeah, no, I think everything we've tried to do to start off this budget season is going to make it much more effective. This is just outlining our expectations.
School's going first this year?
Yes. Do we want to move to the next section anymore?
That we're done. There's no more blue.
We're still going to walk through it. Come on, you can help. You hold tight. We only got like 5 more things here.
Of Wirecast.
The committee's action in absence of a request. Essentially, if we don't get a budget request within the deadline, we have to come up with a reasonable budget. We have to propose it right to the townspeople, so when it comes down to it, it's our fault.
It's our budget anyway,
Of course.
no matter what, so.
School board, selectmen, department head shall be notified in writing of the budget committee's action and their budget requests, which is pretty much the data we send back. Any more discussion in this area? I know everyone's very tired, but we've only been here for an hour and a half, guys. Come on, you can do it. And gals. Although gals are behaving much better. Section 8, Roman numeral 8, adoption and amendment. These bylaws shall be known as municipal budget committee bylaws of the town of Milton. They should be effective after the adoption of the majority vote. Yada, yada, yada. Basically, just talks about how we can amend it if necessary.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Which is what we're doing this year. Yes, David?
Question, you were mentioning these have to be reviewed each year. Should that be indicated in this section?
That's part of there's an RSA that says once the meeting, the March meeting, and the new people come in, you have a procedure you have to follow. Chairman, vice chair, blah, 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 and that's part of it. It's all spelled right out.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
So the idea is you have to accept the bylaws as they stand then, and then this year was our opportunity to go in and make adjustments to kind of bring them up to what we think is good. Did someone just poke their head in?
Yeah, that's
Oh, Thomas?
Going back to section 7.
Okay.
One issue that we had last year was the numbers that some of us are keeping track of in the spreadsheets weren't necessarily as accurate as they could have been. In part, writing down the wrong numbers or math errors. Should we put something in here about having somebody dedicated who is not part of the budget process to keep track of that? Or is that something you think we can talk amongst us and selectmen? That was an issue last year. There was so much talk that it was difficult to keep track of when we start talking about numbers and participate in the conversation at the same time.
Are you volunteering for this year?
No, because I'm on the committee. It should be somebody who's not going to participate in the discussion process.
We
Yeah.
don't have the authority to have someone do that. That's a Board of Selectmen's call.
Can't hire somebody.
I beg to differ. This is our budget.
It's our budget, but we can't have anybody other than this board. We can't hire someone. We can't, that's not our call.
I believe that as a budget committee, we can put our foot down and say, this year the town will provide somebody to do this. We can tell them that has to happen. Because you end up with the situation we had last year where it was what we had settled on and the number we said was wrong. We had to go back to another meeting and correct it.
So,
And at least 2 meetings. I really believe we need to make a stand and say, tell the town, the selectmen, well before we start the process, this has to happen. They need to prepare for it. I don't care if it's a town employee that does it and gets paid for it, if we have a volunteer from the community that wants to see what the budget committee's all about that does it. This is something that has to happen. Otherwise, we end up in the situation we had last year.
Bob,
Chairman, last year was a real different story. A lot of new people in here. There was a lot of mistakes made. And I caught a lot of it. But at the end, I depended on the secretary with all the motions that were made for all the numbers that were changed. When you get the town's budget, I'm looking at our backup sheets to all the department heads, and I want to make sure those, can't talk tonight. I want to make sure the numbers fit. There was some errors, we pointed it out, but if they don't fit, then we'll have to make the changes. But I go by theirs. I look at the selectmen's, I look at theirs. What happens during the course of the season, there's going to be changes possible. And again, nobody tells you that they made changes. I believe the budget committee, we're responsible for those numbers. If those numbers do not come out right with a person sitting there, it shouldn't be done. We are the budget committee. It is our job. We're just shirking the responsibility. I went with your spreadsheet, and it was a big. Yes, but we found it.
We did.
And then when we got done,
part of why it was wrong was because I was trying to have a conversation about the budget and edit formulas and work on a spreadsheet at the same time. That's what I'm saying, is that you cannot do both of those and be effective at both of them. It has to be a one or the other. And I'm not willing to do it because I want to be a participant in the budget process.
to me, if they give us the budget, we watch the numbers. If they look good, We don't do nothing with them anyway. We don't make any motions to any of the numbers. We just listen to the presentations, and when we go to meet on our own, we're gonna go look at that budget. We're gonna put our own numbers in there, and then we're gonna submit it. But I really depend on the secretary for any motions that are made. And last year was a big help. I even took the town's secretary. They matched. It was not difficult, Tom. You and I saw the mistakes, we corrected them. And I
So,
went over it again and again. It's the budget committee's responsibility. If you put an outsider here, then I don't need to be sitting here.
so guys, I think we're kind of going off topic for what our topic is.
Yeah.
I'm going to table this until our next meeting, and we can continue the discussion. Everyone think about solutions to this issue, possible ways that we can make sure that doesn't happen again, right?
Wirecast.
But
Yeah, I was just, my point was, should something like that be included in here or not? That was.
yeah, I realized then we kind of went on a small bit of
Yeah.
tangent. To be honest, I think whether or not we can get somebody else to do it, we have to get someone on our team to do it. So we have to make sure that does not happen again. All right. Yes.
So, back to the C2 on 7, the discussion on September 1st. So their schedule, right now, the final public hearing for the CIP is the 5th.
Okay.
So, as you pointed out, it won't be 100% finalized on the 1st, but it should be on the 6th. In other words, do we put in there, can we put in there just that, that we need it within 1 week of it being finalized by the planning board? In other words, we can tie it to their schedule. So whatever they publish as a schedule and say, we're gonna be done by the 5th, that 7 days from that, we need it. Or 2 days from that, whatever.
You gotta remember, you gotta go to the Board of Selectmen after them.
To see which ones the Board of Selectmen will fund. Bob?
Okay. All the selectmen are gonna get a copy, the budget committee is gonna get a copy. Each one of us is gonna get a copy. It's gonna be thick, we're gonna go over it. So, that will be our time to go look at it,
Wirecast.
and then I think it's gonna go to a public hearing, but if I can remember right, December, somewhere in December, the planning board's going to send their recommendations, and then it's gonna be up to the selectmen to decide which ones they're gonna fund, and those that do not fund, they have to let the planning board know it. But I know it was somewhere near mid-December. I don't know why so late, but we get it ahead of time. But it also has to go through a public hearing.
Wirecast.
And there's a lot of information in there, but we won't know what the selectmen are gonna decide on. They're the ones who's gonna make the decision. And then we get that, but if we get it early enough, I want those backup sheets to those as well, not like we did last year.
So let me ask you this, is it beneficial for us to get that list from the planning board, even if the selectmen don't approve or fund them?
We'll get all of this.
Yes, no, not before the public hearing, though.
This is
Okay.
a demonstration
Because
of
things can change at the
Wirecast.
public hearing.
We can get all of this. We can get all of it. In fact, it's gonna be also posted on the planning board's website.
Mhm.
They're just getting started on it.
Okay. I'll bring that up again
Right.
when I speak with Bruce to kind of get an idea of their timelines. But yeah, the prior to September 1st, it's clearly not
Yeah.
accurate. And there's other extenuating circumstances that could happen. You can't really do 1 week after they finalize the planning board. It's got to go in front of the public.
This is a demonstration
Yes, Thomas?
of Wirecast.
For those that might know better, is it final after the public hearing, these are the warrants that would be proposed?
No.
The selectmen can fund them or defund them, but is that what would be proposed? If so, we could say a week after the public hearing.
No, because the warrant articles are gonna be written on the decision of the Board of Selectmen. So if it's not gonna be on a warrant article, then it's
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the warrant article came out of the public hearing,
This is a demonstration
where the
of
selectmen
Wirecast.
choose to defund something, but it's still on the warrant, as, you know, but there's no money for it, or if that public hearing just, hey, this is presented to the public, and this board of selectmen still make their decision after that. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. Because if it did follow like that, then you could say, a week after the public hearing for the, you know, capital expenditure warrant articles.
Right, right. Yes, David?
Except that would be irrelevant to us. In other words, if we got it after the public hearing, so after the public hearing, there's discussion of like which one, whether or not people like the warrant articles or not, but it still has the original dollar amounts in them. After the public hearing, the selectmen can zero out them. They have the ability to non-fund the warrant articles even after the public hearings happened, in which case now it's irrelevant to us because it's a zeroed item, it's not an expenditure, it's not in the budget. Until it has an impact on the budget, they're kind of irrelevant for us to look at.
Does that make sense?
It only becomes an impact on the budget after March. Because if it doesn't get voted in, it's not an impact at all.
For planning purposes, it doesn't impact the planning of the budget until after a final dollar amount is actually written into the warrant article, which doesn't happen until after the selectmen meet on them.
Okay, so I'll talk to Bruce. I'll also bring it up to Heather and probably Aaron, whoever else in the selectmen want to discuss it. Try to get some sort of an idea. I have no idea what to put in here, to be quite honest. The scheduled site walks of the town and school buildings makes 0 sense to me. I don't even understand that piece in there or why it's there. But prior to September 1st is clearly not accurate either. So this may be a big question mark here.
I think
what's going on.
Years ago, that might represent any capital improvements you want to do to those municipal buildings.
Gotcha.
And they probably had a site walk to see what it represented.
Like here's the roof, it's leaking, that type of stuff. Gotcha. Yes, Peg.
Speaking of all of this, I would just, especially the new people on the budget committee, that the school board puts together a lovely packet, and all of the backup is right there in that lovely packet, because I know last year,
Watch, we won't get it.
you'll get it. Can you answer that question? And poor Nate, it's, Appendix Z down there or something, so.
I think at least for myself, the biggest problem last year was that when I walked in the room was the first time I ever saw that booklet.
Well, because the problem is it's such an intense booklet that I know he had them down here so that people could come and pick them up, so they were out prior to a week before, but
So we'll make it very obvious to everyone that they're
Yeah.
down here and available to
Who
grab.
drove them off everybody's house?
Well, there you go.
Make Peg drive all over the place.
Of Wirecast.
All right. As usual, we have a vast assortment of the public sitting in front of us today.
Yes.
Very quiet.
Very quiet, very respectful. Much different than what's the chaos in the selectmen's meeting. Let's see. I'm going to make an announcement. So there was some discussion last night with a citizen about when our meetings are, where they're posted. If you look on the town's website in the lower right corner,
Of Wirecast.
there's a calendar link that actually brings up a way that you can actually import it into your own Google Calendar. It also is there for you to look at, and it, from what I could tell, it shows every single meeting the town has.
Plus, 91A states you have to have it in 3 municipal places, well, 3 public places.
Two.
There used to be 3.
Trust me, I read it last night.
So usually it's the post office and the town hall.
Yeah. So actually, like I said, I read it last night to make sure that we were okay. One place is typically town hall, and the other one is in the newspaper, but now because of the internet, it can be posted on the town's website, which is this calendar.
That's why it used to be 3.
Yeah, yeah.
But usually it's the post office and town hall.
Yeah, yeah. I've given items to Reggie to throw up in the one and brought one over to Milton Mills. So, just so everyone knows, in internet land, since you're on the internet, that's a great place to get our calendar. And we always post it in here at the very latest the Friday before our Tuesday meeting,
This is a
because
demonstration
I
of
actually have some
Wirecast.
time to come during the office hours of the building. Let's see, next meeting. So there was some discussion last time that we would not meet in July.
Normally we do not.
Everyone have a problem with not meeting in July? Which is good, because apparently you have no air conditioning in here. not for us. So our next meeting, oh dear,
Something like the 21st of August.
21st of
I
August?
think that's like the third, we meet third Tuesday, right?
Yes,
If I'm counting right, that would be the third Tuesday.
Wirecast.
thank you. Any questions from Budget Committee or comments or anything they'd like to say before we adjourn?
I have this piece of info. I always like crunching numbers, but if I could have gotten this out, just in case people are curious. This is tied to the question I initially brought up at
Demonstration of wirecast.
the main town meeting back in March, the discussion. This is the breakdown out of curiosity of where our tax rate is and the breakdown of what's to the municipality, local education, and total. The only reason I didn't put the county and the state is because they're almost all the same.
It's so small.
But what I found of interest is the fact that it's like we're more expensive than 73% of all the towns in New Hampshire
Of wirecast.
for the general town.
Welcome to Milton.
And that's going to be one of my key questions come when we actually see budgets. It's like, okay, how's this compare?
I have a rental income in Wakefield. I don't mind paying them taxes. It really hurts to pay here.
Waterfront's not cheap.
I rental income in Milton too.
This is a demonstration
Oh,
of
gotcha.
wirecast.
I got 3.
Awesome. Do we have a motion to end our meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Except I think we just broke our rules. I think it said all votes will be taken.
Okay, Thomas.
That's all request, I think. Right?
Of course, we haven't adopted those
We
yet,
haven't
right?
adopted
So-
these.
It wasn't just a draft.
Oh. Aren't those part of
Thanks
the old
everyone
ones?
for watching. Those who are watching, I don't know how to turn this off, so.
You hit the little
Yes.
broadcast button there.
Bob put it together,
Once we get this-
the calendar.
It's not cast in stone.
Um,
Here's the zip, I'm